6 in 10 Gen Z adults have a diagnosed anxiety condition, and they're building bags to manage it. Blocking the internet on your phone for 2 weeks may reverse a decade of cognitive decline, and nearly half of Gen Z workers are actively sabotaging their company's AI rollout because they're scared it's going to replace them. Every day, the news cycle produces roughly 1,000 stories. About 6 of them are about politics, and somehow they're the only ones anyone actually talks about. I went looking for the rest. I'm Keith Conrad, and this is News Side Quest. The New York Post this week covered a trend that's been spreading through TikTok and into therapists' offices. Young people, primarily Gen Z, are building what they're calling anxiety bags. Curated portable kits filled with items designed to help them manage panic attacks and anxiety episodes in real time wherever they happen to be. The numbers behind the story are worth talking about. In a survey of nearly 1,000 Americans aged 18 to 26, 61% reported having a diagnosed anxiety condition, and 43% said they experience a panic attack at least once a month. That's not a fringe statistic. That's the majority of an entire generation dealing with a clinical anxiety diagnosis, and nearly half of them are having a panic attack with enough frequency that they started building emergency kits around it. The bags typically contain items that engage the senses and redirect focus during a panic episode. Things like aromatherapy pens, cold packs, specific textures, gum or sour candies to engage taste, or fidget objects. One physician and behavioral neuroscientist described the concept as genius, explaining that traditional coping tools like mindfulness and breathing exercises require you to remember to use them. In the middle of a sensory overload, the memory often fails. Having a physical bag means the tools are already there. You don't have to actually think about it. I want to be careful how I frame this because there's a reflexive tendency to either dismiss it, kids these days can't handle anything, or catastrophize it. Neither is particularly useful. What I see in this story is a generation that grew up with more than previous generations had to process, developed real clinical symptoms as a result, and now is being practical about managing those symptoms. The more interesting question to me is the one underneath the statistic. What made this generation so much more anxious than the ones before? Pandemic, obviously, social media, the economic situation we've been discussing all week and basically for the last couple of months, the constant background noise of very large, very scary things happening all the time. Those aren't imaginary stressors. So what's in your version of the anxiety bag? Not necessarily a literal bag that you carry around, but what's the thing that you reach for that makes you feel better when you're overwhelmed and need to come back to yourself?
I can't stand it anymore. I've got to get out of here. I've got to get out of here. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
The Washington Post reported this week on a new study published in PNAS Nexus, one of the largest of its kind, that looked at what happens when you block internet access on your phone for 2 weeks. First of all, you get less News Side Quest, and who wants that? The results were striking enough that the headline basically wrote itself. The study involved more than 467 participants with an average age of 32. For 14 days, participants used an app to block internet access on their phones. They could still make calls and texts, essentially turning the smartphone into a dumb phone without the giant cord. Their daily online time dropped from 314 minutes to 161 minutes, so less than 3 hours. By the end of the 2 weeks, the participants had measurable improvements in sustained attention, mental health, and just overall well-being. The improvement in sustained attention was, in the researchers' words, about the same magnitude as 10 years of age-related cognitive decline. 2 weeks of blocking internet on your phone reversed a decade of cognitive aging. And here's what I found most interesting for people who don't think they can do this. Even among participants who failed to complete the full 2 weeks, there was still some improvement. As one of the study authors put it, you don't have to necessarily restrict yourself forever. Even taking a partial digital detox just for a few days seems to work. The researchers also made a distinction worth noting. Internet use on phones is significantly worse than on computers because phone use is more compulsive and mindless. With a phone, people can be on social media while walking or watching a movie or talking to someone. It interrupts everything. Even a little distraction during those activities brings down the quality of what you could have experienced. Less satisfying conversations, less satisfying personal relationships. The detox itself is a useful diagnostic. Try putting your phone down or at least cutting off social media a day, a few days, whatever feels like an experiment rather than punishment. If you can do it without much friction, you probably have a decent relationship with it. If the idea creates immediate resistance, that's something you probably need to work on. You ever done a deliberate break from social media or your phone? What happened? Did it go the way you expected? Did you go back to the same habits, or did something shift? And the most important thing is, if you're taking a break from social media, don't post about that on social media. Nobody cares. Just take the break.
All right, important safety tip. Thanks.
A new survey from enterprise AI firm Writer and research firm Workplace Intelligence polled 2,400 knowledge workers across the US, UK, and Europe and found something that's going to become a bigger story as the year goes on. 29% of employees admit to actively sabotaging their company's AI strategy. That number jumps to 44% among Gen Z workers. The sabotage ranges from simply refusing to use AI tools to entering data into unapproved public AI platforms to something that sounds almost poetic. Some employees have admitted to tampering with performance reviews or intentionally generating low-quality work to make AI appear less effective. Now, 30% of those admitted to sabotaging cited fear of becoming obsolete as their primary motivation, which is a term I hadn't heard before this week. The Beastie Boys were unavailable for comment. But here's where I want to slow down and actually think about this, because the reflex is to call it silly or counterproductive, and it probably is. The survey found that workers who refuse to adopt AI are actually more vulnerable to layoffs than those embracing it. 60% of executives say they're considering cutting employees who refuse to adopt AI. So the strategy is backfiring in a measurable way. But the fear underneath it all is rational. This is a generation that entered the workforce during a period of historic instability, is already holding entry-level white-collar jobs that AI is specifically being trained to do, and is watching industry leaders openly discuss automating their entire category of work. The fear of obsolescence is a reasonable response to real information in the news. Sabotage is just a misguided expression of it. What I find more interesting is the question of what people actually do when they feel technology is threatening their livelihood. Because this isn't new, it's been happening since the printing press. What does the healthy response to that actually look like versus the panic response? So have you ever resisted new technology at work deliberately or just by dragging your feet? Did it work? Did the technology ultimately win? What did you do when it did?
Spock, sabotage the system.
Okay, can we have line 193 again with sabotage, pronounced sabotage?
I don't say sabotage. You say sabotage. I say sabotage.
Artemis 2 is facing a wave of conspiracy theories and AI-generated fake videos claiming the moon mission was staged ahead of the cruise splashdown. The astronauts have been broadcasting live footage for 10 days. If live video from the surface of the Earth to the moon and back is not sufficient evidence, I genuinely don't know what the argument is. Some people have decided they've made up their mind and no amount of footage is going to change it, which is fine, I guess, but not my problem to solve.
Okay, here's what we've got. The Rand Corporation, in conjunction with the Saucer People, thank you, under the supervision of the Reverse Vampires, are forcing our parents to go to bed early in a fiendish plot to eliminate the meal of dinner. We're through the looking glass here, people.
Chocolate, cheese, and yogurt have all been linked to longer life in a detailed study of 3 million people. 3 million. That's the sample size. I feel like this is the one medical study that no one is going to argue with, challenge, or demand a second opinion on. We're all going to take this one at face value and move on.
Agreed?
Scientists say the world's oldest octopus fossil isn't an octopus. Upon re-examination, it appears to be a nautilus. I've already decided to say fakektopus, and I'm not walking that back.
A what?
The world chess champion posed for a selfie with her opponent before a match, then immediately reported her to tournament officials for having a phone. Phones are banned during matches. The champion saw the phone, smiled for the photo, said nothing, and then walked directly to the officials. That is the most chess-brained thing I've ever heard. Cold, calculated. She got the selfie. Respect.
Actually, I'm not even mad. That's amazing.
2 men stole 96 bananas from a Wawa convenience store in Pennsylvania. Police confirmed the number with what appeared to be genuine disbelief. 96. The logistics of concealing 96 bananas on your person While exiting a store is quietly possible, I just can't solve it from here.
You filthy criminals.
Women got into a physical brawl over a dead man's coffin after discovering at the funeral they had both been dating him. I will simply say this: live your life in a way that there is no possibility of a brawl at your funeral. That seems like a reasonable bar. But here we are.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
A job posting is looking for someone willing to sniff dog breath for $1,000 an hour. The work involves kissing dogs to assess dental health products. You should probably not immediately dismiss any gig opportunity in the economy at this moment. $1,000 an hour is $1,000 an hour.
I'm not joking. This is my job.
That's News Side Quest for today. 3 questions still open. What's in your anxiety bag? What happened when you tried to put the phone down? And whether you've ever pushed back against technology at work. I want all 3. NewsSideQuest@gmail.com or the Substack comments. Have a great weekend. I'll be back on Monday.